Planning and setting financial goals for the future is an annual exercise for most companies. Preparing meaningful and useful financial statement projections can help companies allocate existing resources effectively and prepare them for upcoming projects or new investments. For many companies, the best way to project future results is to analyze historical data trends and use them as a foundation on which to build future performance projections. As a financial analyst, your goal is the same as well. In this session, we will learn about the second phase of the valuation process, which involves reviewing the past and projected performance of a company. A historical review is essential to develop sound valuations. Historical analysis can be done for revenues, price, industry and comparable company trends, operating leverage and expenses, debt, working capital requirements and surplus assets. This helps to project future performance. No one can foretell the future, but you should review the projections and factor in any future events that could occur. With this in mind, let's start with learning more on how to do a historical review and project the future performance of a company. In this session, we will learn how historical trends affect projections. You will also gain insights into the past through a historical review, including revenue analysis and operational analysis. You will also learn to analyze debt, historical and projected financials, and understand the impact of possible future events while calculating projections of the company. Let's begin with the second step of the valuation process, that is reviewing the past and projected performance. On the basis of historical trends, future projections are made. Hence, the value will be derived depending on the valuation method incorporated. A great place to review the past is the company's financial statements. The aim is to understand whether the projected performance is or is not in line with the historical performance, what the underlying reasons are for that, and whether the reasons are sensible and robust. But while doing so, proper care should be taken because not all companies can be compared in a standard single manner. As long as the basis for projections seem realistic, justifiable, and valid on the basis of the future plans of the company, they should be reliable. It is essential that we use our judgment to decide the best possible manner to perform the historical versus projected comparisons. The analysis of the financial statements encompasses much more than the initial data entry. It requires thought and attention to trends that could negatively or positively affect the company in the near term and must be considered in the valuation analysis. Historical analysis includes revenue analysis and operational analysis, which we will learn about next. One of the most important line items is the revenue for the company, which is where you will begin the historical analysis. While analyzing this line item, we should check whether the revenue growth achieved in the past is sustainable in the future as well. If there was an increase in the revenue over the years, we should look deeper into the calculations to check whether the same was driven by an increase in the price or the quantity of the products. This can help in creating the assumptions for the revenue projections in the future. After the revenue details, another crucial step is to analyze the debt of the company. One needs to study the debt structure of the company to get an idea about the debt burden of the company and what are the different covenants for different types of debts. Also important is the question of how these debts are going to play in the future given new projections are made or if the same historical trends are continued. Since we will be working for the future cash flows, it is essential to find out about the investment plan of the company for the future. Through the analysis, one should find out the strategy for the future growth. That is, if the existing assets are going to be enough for the plan or new investment in the form of capital expenditure will be required, and whether the growth will be organic or inorganic through any acquisition or divestment, etc. One should check for like-to-like trends in the historical statements, which is an adjusted measurement that takes into account a base and a comparative that are aligned. For instance, if you are looking at quarterly sales, it is best to compare Q3 sales of a year to Q3 sales of the previous year rather than comparing it with Q2 sales of the current year. This gives insight into any seasonality or correction specific to Q3. This comparison of current and prior period sales takes into consideration only those activities that were in effect during both time periods. Similarly, if you are analyzing half-yearly sales, comparing it with the full year sales for the prior period is pointless. Again, if a new product is introduced in the current year, a reasonable comparison is to use total sales of the prior period and compare it with the sales of the current period excluding the new product. Like-for-like sales is essential in valuation approaches as it excludes any effects of expansion, acquisition, or any other event that artificially enlarges a company's sales. Another important thing to take into account is the comparison with the industry trends and the comparable companies in the sector. One can analyze with several line items. For example, if the company's EBITDA is growing at 15% every year and the industry trend is of only 5 to 7%, then it means that one needs to scrutinize the financial statements more to find out the reason for this exponentially higher growth before making any EBITDA assumptions for the future. Coming to the second half of historical analysis, which is operational analysis, where you will need to check the degree of operating leverage for the company. Operating leverage is a measurement of the degree to which a firm or project incurs a combination of fixed and variable costs. A business that shows high sales growth provides a very high gross margin and fewer fixed costs and variable costs has a higher leverage. The higher the degree of operating leverage, the greater the potential danger from forecasting risk, where a relatively small error in forecasting sales can be magnified into large errors in cash flow projections. This analysis will give a better picture about the operational parameters of the company. In addition, you would also analyze the SG&A expenses. Are they fixed or variable? The working capital of the company and inventory details, receivables and payables information. As we mentioned before, the analysis of the financial statements encompasses much more than the initial data entry. It requires thought and attention to trends that could negatively or positively affect the company in the near term and must be considered in the valuation analysis. So, to wrap up this section, here are a few questions which one should keep in mind while going through the historical trends. Ask yourself, is the revenue growth achieved in the past sustainable? Was it increase in price or quantity that was driving historical growth? What is the underlying like-for-like trend? How does it compare to industry trends or comparable companies? Given the operational leverage, how will cost of goods sold change when revenue increases? Are the selling, general and administration expenses fixed or variable? Is the debt burden manageable? Would the company breach covenants if historical trends continue? Is the company optimally managing its working capital, days sale outstanding, inventory and creditors? Is the company continuing to invest in its future growth? And are there any surplus assets? Once we are done with the historical analysis of the company, we should be able to find ourselves in a much better position about the understanding of the company. The valuation process involves the analysis of the projected periods as well. On the basis of the projected values and the interlinkages with the historical numbers, the final value will be calculated. One of the most important steps here is to analyze the internal consistency between the historical data and future forecasts. Let's now understand a few techniques to analyze the historical and projected financial statements. They are to express the balance sheet and income statement in percentage terms, ratio analysis, bespoke analysis, and movement in key balance sheet and income statement business drivers. One of the most commonly used ways to analyze the historical and projected financials is to express both the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet in percentage terms and question any significant variation. This provides a very in-depth level of understanding about the company's performance. In the P&L, each item should be expressed as a percentage of total revenues. Some of the typical elements which need to be investigated are: how is the revenue mix evolving? If the proportions of net interest income, net commission income and other income are changing, what is the reason for that? Is it a strategic choice affecting the business model, or is it due to external factors such as macroeconomic environment? Is the cost-income ratio expected to move significantly, and what is the rationale behind such expectations? Similar considerations can also be made for extraordinary items and tax expenses through this process. In the case of the balance sheet, each item should be expressed as a percentage of total assets. Areas that need to be looked into typically are the pattern in which the asset mix is evolving, if the proportions of trading assets and other assets are changing, and what is the reason behind that. And similarly, some considerations can be made for the liability side. Ratios like debt to equity, return on capital employed, sales turnover ratio, and DuPont analysis are easily derived from the financial statements and give a very informative picture about the company's performance. Bespoke analysis and ratios based on the industry that the company operates in should also be considered, such as sales per square feet for retail or revenue per room for hospitality. Another way to assess potential inconsistencies in the projections compared to historical data is to look at the movement in the key P&L and balance sheet drivers. Example, footfalls for a retail setup, demand in the case of a manufacturing company, etc. Any abrupt jump in growth rates and margins should be highlighted and further investigated. Also, in this case, an explanation should be found either in the set of management actions announced with the business plan or in the expected evolution of the macroeconomic and competitive outlook. After the historical versus projected analysis, another important aspect to be checked is the impact of any possible future events. For example, an event like the implementation of the goods and services tax can bring about a lot of changes for the company in particular and the industry as a whole. So it is very critical to make provisions for such events so that their occurrence doesn't affect the performance or the projections of the company in a large way. Also, if because of any particular event the revenue stream is either going to take a hit or a boost, then such changes need to be highlighted in the projected values. Many times we come across few companies which have very unusual trends. Sometimes the margins or the growth percentages is either greater or lesser than the industry average or even the historical average. This should be analyzed and the reason behind the same should be brought into the calculation of the final value. Also, if any new business stream is planned in the pipeline, then the corresponding value of that also should be evaluated while calculating the final value. While analyzing the projections, it is very essential to find out the reasons behind the assumptions. For example, if the revenue is shown to be growing at 15% in the next 3 years as compared to 7% for the last 3 years, then one should try to find out the reason behind such a spurt in the growth factor. These details help us in understanding the company and its functionalities in the best possible manner and provide us with the confidence to use the projected figures in our valuation calculations. Next, we will understand the importance of analyzing historical financial information and reviewing projections in light of historical trends and industry averages in the valuation process. As you can see, we have the data for a restaurant company up to operating EBITDA level. Let us assume that we are computing a valuation as at 31st August 2013, which is 5 months into FY14. We can see the values from FY10, which is the historical figure, until FY15, which is the forecasted figure. The forecast period is from September 2013, representing 7 months of FY14 and the full year of FY15. It is mentioned here that the company's future plan is to increase the number of restaurants from 10 to 30 by the end of the current year, which in this case is FY14. Here, the actual period is ending at FY13 and the forecasting is starting from FY14. From the figures, we can see a sudden jump in the net sales from FY13 to FY14. In the audited FY13 period, the net sales is around Rs 521 million, while for the forecasted FY14 period, it is shown as around Rs 1075 million, which is nearly double the figure of the previous year. This jump in itself requires the financials of the past to be verified to see the trend in the growth in the last couple of years. We can see the sales from FY10 to 13 going from 448 million to about 521 million, which seems to be a steady growth of about 16%. Hence, the sudden jump in the FY14 figure raises some questions. To iron out such issues, we need to ask for more details from the company. Some of the important data points required here are monthly revenue trend across restaurants, number of restaurants expected to be added, locations, addresses, average bill sizes, leases signed, details of furniture and fixtures, the launch date and square feet and number of tables. We also need to check how recent is the business plan, and margins are also to be analyzed similarly. Also required is to study the industry and see the trends in the sector to analyze whether the company has been underperforming or doing better than the industry. If any specific margins are to be analyzed, then the same should be done before moving forward with the forecasted numbers. Such a review is very important because having only a cursory look at the numbers The first impression that comes to mind is that the year-to-date numbers for FY14 seem difficult to achieve for the company. Moving on with the topic of reviewing the past, we look into a different situation. Here, the company has decided to discontinue a product line in FY13 and hence products were sold at a huge discount to get rid of the inventory. If we see the gross profit line, we can see a big jump in the numbers from audited FY13 to unaudited 7 months October 13. Now the drop in margins for FY13 has been explained as the result of discount on sale of discontinued products. Let us discuss some additional factors to facilitate this analysis. It is important to analyze margins for the historical period up to FY13, excluding the discontinued product, in order to make a like-for-like comparison with the projected margins. Also important is the breakup of the revenues for various products in the past to see their movement and the correlation with the gross numbers. This would help establish the margin levels that the company would be able to maintain going forward even without the discontinued product. As it was mentioned by the company that the products were sold at a discount in order to clear out their inventory, one may also consider a hypothetical case where the products were sold at cost rather than at a discount and how that would have impacted the margins. One more important issue to be looked into is the reason for that particular product line being discontinued. In such a scenario, you need to ask yourself, will this event lead to any impact on the existing products in the future? Is any product line dependent on the product of the line getting discontinued? And if yes, what is the company planning to do to tackle the situation in the future? In case there was no inventory buildup in FY12, what would have been the company's strategy regarding the same product line being discontinued? Such questions will give a detailed understanding of this step by the company and help us understand the projections for the future period more clearly. Finally, we look at one last example. Here, the company has informed that they are starting a new facility and would diversify into new products. The first line item to be looked into in such cases is capital expenditure. CapEx forms a crucial part of the valuation process and hence it should be treated with a clear understanding. As we can see from the net sales line, the company expects a jump from FY14 predominantly due to the new product line. But before such figures are factored in our model, it is very important to clear out some of the key questions about the historical performance of the company. We need to ask ourselves, will there be some shift of existing products to the new location? Who are the other players producing the new product? What is the overall market size? Why were these new products not produced in the past? What studies or activities have been undertaken to have confidence that the new product volumes are achievable? What capex has been incurred and when will the new facility commence operations? And will there be some temporary disruptions when you shift some products to the new location? One should find out whether the introduction of this new product line leads to any significant change for any of the existing products. While analyzing the new product line, one should also try to find out any negative effects of the same for any of the existing product lines. Before entering that particular product line, a proper industry and sector analysis should be done. Information about the key competitors for that product existing in the market and the market structure or size is very crucial to forecast the future of that product line. One should also find the reason for the same product line not getting produced in the past and the advantage the company is experiencing by doing the same at present. Also, what studies or activities have been undertaken to have confidence that the new product volumes are achievable. As mentioned, the capex plan of the company is very important and the respective timeline for the new operation as well. Thus, through the analysis of various scenarios we just looked into, we get a fair idea about the importance of conducting a detailed historical analysis for the company before we start the valuation process and applying the findings of this analysis to a detailed evaluation of the forecasts. That's it for now.